Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Well, hello again, and welcome to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the University of British Columbia on the unceded Musqueam Territory. If you're listening to this on the podcast, this is episode 193. I'm Michael McCall,
I'm Steve Pander.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenheimer.
and it's been a busy week for the Whitecaps, a successful week for the MLS side. We got a win in Colorado. Unfortunately, WFC2 couldn't get a win the same night. TSSFC Rovers kicked off their PDL season. Provincial Cup in full flow. Fantastic weekend of football. Took me all over the lower mainland. Saw 3 Provincial Cup games. Was in Langley and Aldergrove.
You made that trip over to Calgary, one-day trip? No?
No, I didn't make
Oh,
the trip to
okay.
Calgary.
It would've been-
Langley and Aldergrove felt far enough, really. Yeah, great weekend. But we're going to start by talking about the Whitecaps. Fantastic win in Colorado. Zach, you've been confident that they're doing really well on this road trip. You were right. I was wrong. Happy enough to admit that.
We're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. It was, I think, another good result on the road, a victory. The game, I think, was not a piece of art that we'll look back on, and replay many moments from it and down, as we go through the season. But it was a good away result.
A professional result, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't expect it to be, you don't want it to be a piece of art when you're playing on the road, especially in Colorado.
Well, I wouldn't say you don't want it to be, but
If you want a result, you don't want it to be.
I don't know if those two. I think for where we're at right now, yes.
Yes.
But yeah, no, I think it was a very. It was good. Yeah, it was great to see the same formation, same starting 11, third time in a row. I think it was Mark Weber tweeted on the day of the game. The Whitecaps have been in MLS since 2011. On Friday was only the second time a manager started the same starting 11 3 games in a row, which he deemed to be incredible.
Yeah.
Which it was, and it was great to see some consistency there. It was great to see. It was like those guys have a feel for each other, and it feels like quite a while since we've had that kind of continuity within the first team.
Oh, for sure. And usually, I think most of the time it's because of injuries that happens. The whole, the continuity, like you were saying, it's because of injuries. Somebody ends up getting injured. Somebody gets a yellow card or accumulation. That seemed to be always the issue. But it's great to see, and you can really tell. I know you don't really say it's a good it wasn't a work of art in that first half, but I think they were so solid in their roles. The way they applied pressure to Colorado and not even giving them a chance. They were applying pressure way up the field where Colorado couldn't even get over the center line into the Vancouver's half. So I think that was a huge thing, and I think like you said, playing with the same group over and over and over again will get them into that. Even if they make a change here and there, like a slight change, a modification here and there, I think that will help them out. But I thought for a first half to get Colorado off his game, because Colorado was desperate. They're at the bottom of the table right now in the West, and they want to get a result. So to apply pressure and not even give him a chance, not even give him any breathing room, was fantastic in the first half.
We literally gave up, one shot on goal the whole game, right?
And the win took the Caps to fifth at that point, down to sixth now. It wasn't a fantastic first half as a football spectacle.
Right.
It's the kind of game, like, if it finished 0-0, you're like, oh, well, we've gone to Colorado, we've gone into the altitude, we at least got a point. It was a pretty bore fest in that first half.
And that's the thing. I think in the past, you would have been like, yeah, okay, we got a point, goalless draw. We've only ever won there once in our time in the league. But it showed like a real will to win. Like there was like this, it felt like there was this desire from the players, I think from the coaches. Obviously, I think many people were very pleased with the substitutions. And it just showed this desire to like not just settle for an away draw. I mean, even though we're focused on defending, our goal came on the counter. It still felt like it was like it felt, it was something deep seated in the squad that really wanted to get that result.
Oh, for sure. And I think the second half, especially, that's when you started seeing things open up and everything. There was that one point I think it was around the 55th minute when Jordan Harvey in his 250th MLS game. Basically almost scored an own goal. That was a scary point right there at that point.
Yeah, and after the game, the Colorado players came out and said that they thought that they should have come away with a win from that. And I don't really know what game they were watching. And Pablo Mastroeni, his post-game comments was just like rambles. Every question, it was like over a minute that he was answering, and he was going on about, we didn't play well vertically, we didn't play well horizontally, we didn't play well anyway. And then he turned around and said, but we should have won because I thought we did well. And it's like, I had no idea what he was talking about.
Like even Gashi, who had a few chances in that second half, he wasn't really playing well. I remember him from last year, he was like just...
Well, see, afterwards, Pablo had said that was his best game of the year. So maybe that kind of lets you know exactly how they've been doing.
He's not even close to being proper. I thought he was, that one chance he had, that one that curled kind of wide of the post, that was dangerous looking, but he wasn't really on his game either.
I mean, I watched the first half at home, and then I had to head out up to Langley for the Provincial A Cup game up there. And I was listening to the radio at the start of the second half, and you felt that it was coming. So I listened to up to the hour mark, then I came home and watched the last half hour, not knowing what had happened. But I came home confident because it sounded like we were the only team that was maybe going to do something. We seemed to be stringing passes together, we were having chances, and the winning goal, first of all, big surprise that Brek Shea was in the lineup.
Yeah, in the 18.
Yeah, and so many people were saying on Twitter, because I had said, oh, he's back and stuff, and it's like, oh, it'll just be to make up the numbers, there's no way he's going to play. Then lo and behold, he comes on and he scores the winner. Super fast recovery from the guy, because it looked like he was maybe going to be out till maybe June.
Yeah, but he had that magical tape on his knee. I think that puts everything back together. The Cesaro tape, I call it.
And at training this week, when I headed along on Tuesday, he was running about fine. It's like, and you thought, oh wow, he's really back healthy. Jordi Reyna was also out in the training pitch for a little bit on Tuesday.
Was he going fast?
It's probably light jog.
It wasn't enough to get impounded, at least not on this occasion. But he was doing his rehab. It's still a few weeks away. They're not going to rush him back. Brek Shea, though, I mean, it's great to have him back. It's just another piece to the mix, and he took that goal so well. And you have to give Nicolas Mosqueda huge props for finding him. That was a fantastic pass by Nico.
Yeah.
And it shows what he can do, which is what frustrates me the most, because when he starts, he just doesn't play like that.
Yeah, and I wonder how much outcry there will be for him to get more starting minutes. I think the coaches and technical staff feel like they're using him the best way what's best for the team.
I think so as well.
As a substitute who can provide a spark, who can provide moments like that.
Yeah, he does seem to thrive, though, in those environments like Colorado, Salt Lake. We've seen him do really well as well. Those kind of atmospheres, temperature, altitude, whatever, it just seems to bring some of the best out of him.
But we've also seen him score, I believe, from a starting role in a Cascadia match at home, scoring a free kick. So, like, he's We can't.
Yeah.
Scored against San Jose in a starting role in the beginning of the season.
Exactly. So we can't. So that's why there's
That was a reputation from last year. Maybe it's a little bit better this year. So maybe give him a chance. But the one thing I found funny was essentially, yes, Breck Shea had the goal. He's a substitute. Nicolas Mosqueda set it up. He's substitute. The guy who cleared it from the box, Alphonso Davies, substitute. So if you think of it, all three substitutes had a big part in that goal and the build-up to it. Question to you guys. Bobby Burling was the guy who was chasing down Breck Shea. Just a minute or so before that, he was clipped and went down. Do you think that slowed him down a little bit, or do you think it wouldn't have made that much of a difference? Because he was going in pain. I don't know if he's trying to get a card out of it or something like that.
It did probably make a little bit of a difference, but at the same time, Shea's fast.
Yeah, he is.
But
he's got a knee injury.
Yeah, but it didn't seem to be showing any of it. And I think what was particularly pleasing was the composure that he showed to finish. He decided not to try and go down the box under the goalkeeper this time and actually try and have a shot, and it paid off. It ended up in the net.
Well, there's nobody around to take him down this time.
True. And if you think about it, though, he's now on a 2-game scoring streak because he scored just before he went off it with the injury against Tigres. Now he's back and he scored again.
If you count the minutes of those 2 games, it's a big score.
Yeah.
Goals per 90 minutes.
Goal machine. It's just good to have goals coming from somebody that isn't Freddie Montero as well, because it was starting to feel that we were possibly going to be relying too much on him, that if Freddie wasn't going to score, then it was maybe going to be hard to see where the goals came from. But Shea certainly adds an attacking piece to the mix, and with the transfer window closing tomorrow, Robo has said maybe bring somebody in.
I don't think it's going to happen now.
Yeah, it's not looking likely. Obviously, it closes in a few hours, and we can have real egg on our face. By the time this podcast comes out, we might have made a couple of signings. There is a chance we could move someone on.
I don't see who, though.
One of the Orlando sites was kind of going on about, Eric Hurtado would be a good person to acquire. It's like he's injured.
Yeah, he's injured. Plus, if you said no, then you have to bring somebody in for sure, because they'd be down to 2 strikers, and you can't do that until the summer.
Has anyone located Davy Flores?
He has gone on loan somewhere.
Oh, right. It officially says loan, right?
Yeah, I no idea where, but you have to kind of think it's Honduras.
Assuming.
Or Atlantis. Because their communication there is not very good, so maybe just taking a little bit for their press release to come out.
So, with the win, this was the Whitecaps' first back-to-back win since
ever.
May of 2016, last year. So, basically a year ago, when they beat Portland and Chicago at home and then beat TFC on the road. It's their first back-to-back road wins since June of 2015, when they beat LA, had a week off, and then beat New England and New York. So that's a big span between back-to-back wins overall and on the road. Yeah,
we're a team that has really struggled to put together a good run of wins just in general in our whole MLS era. It always seems to really stop and start. We get a couple, maybe get a draw somewhere, then it's a loss, and we get another one, and it just I don't know what it is. We just seem to struggle to put together wins, and it might be down to the fact that we don't have settled lineups. We've now got a settled lineup, and we've got back-to-back wins again. So we'll talk about the Houston game in a little bit that's coming up on Friday. I mean, can they make it 3 in a row and stuff like that? But it's promising. The way that things looked about a month ago, you didn't really think that the Caps were going to be in this position. We've now got 4 wins.
Specifically
okay, I didn't think that we were going to be in this position. I don't think I was alone in that, though.
No.
But we've got 4 wins, 1 draw, 4 defeats. Interestingly, the 1 draw, because in years gone by, we have been kind of draw specialists. There was that season that we were almost led the league, but Chicago kind of had that wrapped up with draws, but we were way into double figures. And this year, they just seem to have the players that does enough to take them over the line, to get the 3 points instead of the 1. And Robbo's done a couple of interviews on the radio where the question that was put to him was, if you've got, say, 3 road games coming up, you could get 3 draws in those games, and that's 3 points. Or you could win 1, lose 2, and you've still got 3 points, but the win gives you a better feeling. And there's something in that, really. Now we've got 6.
Yeah, the back-to-back wins is huge. Talking more about the game, the result was good. I think the performance as a whole was encouraging, especially as an away match. Who in the starting 11 maybe underperformed or didn't perform as well as we would have liked?
It's a tough one because very few players stood out either way, like for being really good or being really bad. If we're looking at who stood out for being really good, Shea Williams I thought was outstanding. Players that maybe didn't perform to their best, Freddie Montero didn't get a lot of service.
No, but I thought he did well on holding up the play. And you don't expect him to do that, but I thought he did not too bad there. One guy, I hate to harp on it again, but Tony Shawnee, I didn't see anything from him at all.
He would be another guy.
I feel like he hasn't settled yet. Like, I don't think these road games have helped with that, right? Because they've been away so much. I just feel like he hasn't settled, and that's partly why we haven't seen the best of him. I think his performance in Portland was probably the poorest of the 3. I know Montreal stood out because he missed some offensive opportunities that he had, but I didn't think he was that bad in that. And I thought watching this game, again, he wasn't...
I think he's in a role that doesn't really suit him, just being that far up the pitch. I think Jacobson is more suited and more comfortable in that role.
Yeah, Jacobson had another good game. And during the week at training, Jacobson was doing scoring drills and attacking drills. So they're clearly wanting him to get forward. Chani was doing some of them as well.
I thought he was there's a couple times when he really uses physicality in the midfield, and I thought that was effective. But again, sometimes when he gets closer to the box, he gets lost.
Yeah, and I think it was after... Let's see, when did I listen to the radio? It must have been after the win in Montreal. It was, because I was heading up to UBC. And they were just talking about the post-game thing on the radio, and one of the things they were talking about was Chani, and how you couldn't really drop him because he's a player that it could affect mentally if he's dropped. He wasn't playing in Columbus, then you bring him here, and then if he's dropped, it might affect him. I don't care about that. If he's not playing good, you don't keep him in the team just because it might upset him.
But that's...
but you've got other options.
Right, but that's also like looking... That's you're hoping for a short-term return, and that trying not to crush him morally, mentally, kind of, that's looking at the longer term, I think. And so I think I can see why can see why, especially that group of people would have that kind of approach, is because it might be better in the short term, but I think would be better in the long term to not drop him, to keep him in the side. And I think
he has to be playing to deserve to get kept in the side. When you've got...
Right, but
I rag on Russell Tybert a lot, but if he's doing well at training and he's pushing for minutes, and Chani's not, then you put him in. Ben McKendry's lighting it up with WFC too.
PK?
Yeah.
No, so I hear what you're saying.
I don't think we're going to sign PK, though.
No, right. But I hear what you're saying. But there's also, when you look at it, there's this... What did we just say? We just said we haven't had consistency in starting lineups. We haven't had consistency in results. We're having both of those right now, right? And so, and they are. He has been like the first sub, I think, each of the last 3 or 4 games, right? Yeah. So he's not like he is being taken off and replaced with someone who's brings a different look to the midfield or to the formation. So that's a critique enough, if you will, or that's a. You're having both there, right? Like you're not damaging his morale by not benching him or not starting him or putting him outside the 18, and you're also saying, hey, you're going to be our first sub. You're not going to go 90, right? You're going to be off as 60 or 65 or whatever.
So, what do you guys think about the formation, and do you think this is the right one then? You should stick with it, even at home and against different teams? Is it just teams you're playing against 4-2-3-1? Or because Paul Dolan made a really good point, he's a friend of the show, Paul Dolan. He basically, on another interview, he was talking about the how he was agreeing with Robbo that formation doesn't matter, but the fact that they're playing the 4-1-4-1, when Jacobson and Chani are up there, they're kind of in a offensive position and then they come back and help defensively instead of being in a defensive position and kind of being worried about helping. They're already in that offensive position. I think that's the key where you want to keep this formation going.
Which is, I think, been a mentality shift. And I think that's a really good perspective because it's easier for someone who's, say, better or more naturally defensively capable or focused to recover defensively than to, like you said, Steve, get forward and have to contribute something offensively if they're not already thinking that, if they don't already have that focus.
I like it, but we'll talk about whether they might keep it the same in the second part when we look at the Houston game. We mentioned the transfer window is closing on Monday. It probably doesn't look like the Whitecaps are going to be active in bringing anyone in. They've got Shea back. It's like having a new player. You've got Reyna back. Reyna is
essentially a new player because he hasn't played at all this year.
Right. I just also want to hold up my hand because I have been very critical of our people who are tagged with our designated players. And here was one of our designated players
stepping up
who got a goal, which was a game-winning goal. So that's nice to see. I still don't think that's being allocated right, but I was happy for him, and that makes, I think the optics of that are also very helpful.
And another newish player that we could have in the squad when he's fit and healthy, Sam Adekugbe, tweeted out his congratulations to Brighton on going up and saying how much he'd enjoyed his time there. Enjoyed as in that was it over. And Robbo was asked about Sam at training this week and said that he's on loan until the end of the English season, which is now, and then he would be back as a Whitecaps player. Will he get a chance to prove his worth to the Caps? Or will that move to Europe have given him a little bit of a taste and he's going to want to go back over there? He'll have looked to see how his friend Kian's is doing in Germany. He's doing really well. So when we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, got the indication that he kind of would maybe want to go back to Europe. But
you think?
Yeah. Jordan Harvey's getting on.
Right.
And he's got nobody at the moment pushing him for that position. Will Sam say, you know what, I'm going to go for it, stay here for the next 6 months, see out the MLS season and try and win a place, or want to go to Europe?
Before you say that, I think Jordan's tattoos are pushing him. If you saw that
new
BC Place tattoo is awesome.
That's pushing him.
Yeah.
He doesn't need anybody pushing him.
I haven't heard anyone say that the concept is nice. I heard some people critiquing the tattoo artist quality, which I thought was kind of strange. But
I like watching Ink Master, so it's like that's a common thing.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years ago, I wanted to do a feature on the podcast on players' tattoos, and then realised it wouldn't really work very good
visually.
On radio.
Yeah.
Get your tats out.
As we've discussed before, they also would not know what you're talking about when you say, "Let me see your tattoo." Tattoo.
Let's getting back to Sam.
Hey, Sam. So I got some text this morning from some Magpie people who were also very happy about Brighton's performance in the championship. We're very, very pleased that the Magpie that Newcastle topped the championship. But
Brighton blew their chance last year, even in finishing the top two in the last day of the season. They're not good in the last day of the season. They're not good closers.
Right. But yeah, I think for Sam, I think he's made it clear where his heart is. Will he though do what you said and say, I have an opportunity here. I can make the breakthrough here. I've done it once before. Injury and other things stopped it or hindered it. I can focus on some stuff here and worry about that later. Worry about over there later. I do think there's wisdom in that. I don't know. I think it might be hard for Sam to fight his heart, which is definitely to be over there.
Yeah. And I can't blame him because he is going to get a lot more opportunities, I feel, over there, and a lot more money if he makes it as well, which it's not the driving force for everyone, and it shouldn't be. But for a lot of these young guys, it is.
I don't think for some of these younger guys at this point, I don't think the money's the big thing. It's about playing
prestige as well.
Yeah,
because if you say, "Oh yeah, I'm with an English club," or "Yeah, I'm with Vancouver Whitecaps,"
or playing in Europe. Just playing in Europe.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's
You could be playing in Romania and you're playing in
Right,
Europe.
like
Yeah.
Marcus Haber's like that. Marcus Haber will. I don't know if he'll ever come home. You know what I mean? Like he. I
I
mean,
don't
he scored.
think a lot of those guys.
He scored again this weekend. He's done well, but he I think likes that. He likes. I'm in Europe. He like has a whole different world over there.
But of course, we've now got the Canadian Premier League coming, so that is going to make everyone want to come home. And we're going to actually talk about the Canadian Premier League later in the show, and we've got a lot more to get through. We're going to talk about the Canadian Premier League. We're going to have a fascinating interview that I did with new WFC2 signing Nazeem Bartman.
Do the Bartman.
I was going to say there's no do the Bartman jokes because that's tired and lazy, but you got in there.
Well, you better.
He showed initiative to make that lazy joke.
Yeah.
There better be a wavelength about this.
There is a wavelength, but not about Do the Bartman. But we're going to be back in a few minutes talking about the next Whitecaps game. This Friday, another Friday night game in Houston. They don't do well in Texas. And we'll be back to talk about that after these messages. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show. Broadcasting from the University of British Columbia and the unceded Musqueam Territory. Now, before the break, we looked at the Whitecaps win in Colorado. Big question now. Can they make it 3 in a row? Can they do something that they have never done before and get a win in the state of Texas?
Is it a win or is it points? A point in the state of Texas.
I don't know if we've even taken a point, but I want a win.
Yeah,
we've never got a win
that's true.
in the state of Texas. And
I personally think at this point, like Zach tweeted out on Friday, that any points from Houston is gravy right now. And I think that's correct. I think
I do like my gravy.
I was going to say
I got 2 points of gravy because I had 7 points in the 5 games.
I'm about 2.5% gravy, so yeah, I like gravy.
I mean, I went for 6 points from this road
No,
trip.
I don't think you were.
I'm sure I did.
No.
That's stuck in my head. Okay.
Somebody check the tape.
I don't know. If I say it enough, I think it becomes fact.
I think you said 0 and then you said 1.
Yeah,
so.
we convinced you to 1.
Look, apparently we're quite powerful because there's a local soccer forum called Take the Piss, and it all covers like the VMSL, Provincial Cup, stuff like that. And apparently which I got from that forum in the first place, I've been going on constantly in my articles that 2 BC teams make the Nationals this year. And it's just, everyone now believes that is true. And then it came out that it wasn't. And AFTN got blamed for starting the myth. So it's like, we have power. So do we have enough power, though, to help the Whitecaps win in Houston?
Well,
Or will it be another orange crush?
Yeah, well, they crushed the Orlando basically this weekend 4-0.
That was a hammering 4-0.
And it could have been more because there was a missed PK that was horrible. But Orlando didn't have Kaka. They were missing Kaka.
Kaka.
And but Houston was missing Torres.
Right,
Yeah,
El Cubo has something wrong with his El Cubo.
No, yeah, he got hit in the head with a ball during training.
Yeah, he's
got
concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Leading the Houston scoring with 7 goals as
7
well.
goals.
If his concussion hangs on a little bit, wouldn't be too unhappy about that.
But their 6 of his 7 goals came in the first 4 games. Since then, they have 3 other guys that are contributing scoring.
I don't care about this game. I really want El Cubo to play when they come here, though.
Why?
I just do.
Okay, there's obviously some kind of
Goes back to the Chivas days.
Okay. I might whack my balls on his head before he comes, so we'll see what happens.
So the 3 guys, getting back to the Houston Dynamo, obviously the friend of Curva Collective, Quinto.
He's
Kyoto.
a friend.
Kyoto.
Quito.
Who the hell's Quinto?
Quito. Sorry, I couldn't read my own
Kyoto.
right. So he basically he's got 4 goals.
Why is he a friend of Curva? Because Zach's looking really confused.
Didn't you visit him in the hospital?
Yeah, I went to go visit him in the hospital.
So he's a friend of
Oh,
Curva.
yeah,
If you get visited by the member of Curva Collective, then
The
you're
head
a friend of the
honcho,
Curva.
more or less.
I
of
didn't
Curva
say that.
Collective.
You should know better. We have no membership.
Member, the
Partner.
partner. Sorry, probably. And then you have a couple of 21-year-olds. Ellis.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going
Elise.
And I'm going to probably.
Well, I actually thought it was Ellis as well. Albert Ellis and James
Alberth. Actually, his first name is Alberth.
Oh, well, there we go.
What's the
Our
other guy's name
pronunciation's
then?
top tonight.
Oh, it starts with an M.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Minotas. That's what I got.
Yeah, you're pronouncing that wrong too.
Yeah, obviously.
That's what we do.
He missed the penalty.
We don't have a Jorge here. So basically, those guys have got 4 goals. 2 of them got 4 goals. One's got 3. So that's like between them, they've scored all of but 1 goal for Houston.
And their other big danger man is Alex.
Yeah.
And he's leading the league in assists.
Alex, is it? I don't know.
He's ahead of Vasquez.
He's tied.
He's got
tied.
6 assists.
Yeah,
and,
he's tied with them.
I mean, he's the danger man. He's the guy you want to kick early. Maybe he'll get hit with a ball in his head if we're lucky.
Wasn't it him that got in a spat with Morales one time? Or was that somebody else? It was a
that
different
was,
Alex.
That was Usted.
That was, David Usted.
No, I'm talking about against in the game, in an actual match, not training.
I don't know. Morales seemed to be getting a lot of spats. But looking at how Houston's done, they're unbeaten at home this year.
Unbeaten, but not all wins. They've dropped points to Minnesota.
Yeah, who
Which
drops
is weird.
points to Minnesota? Us in June, but who drops points to Minnesota? 5 wins, 1 draw. And if you look at the games, it was 2-1 at home to Seattle, 3-1 against Colorado, 4-1 New York, 2-0 win against San Jose, then the 4-0 thrashing off the Lions.
They're outscoring at home 17 goals for, 5 goals against.
We got this.
On the road, obviously we're not talking about on the road, but they're 0 the 3 losses on the road for 3, 2 goals for, 8 goals against.
But this is what they used to be like until Owen Coyle came in and completely destroyed the club, which any good Scottish manager has a habit of doing. I mean, look what he's done with Blackburn. Owen Coyle is like the reverse Midas. Everything he touches turns to shit, and it's just not going well for Houston in the couple of years that he was at the helm. And then after he left, the guy that took over, I was a big fan of his. So much so I can't even remember his name off the top of my head. But
the former player.
Yeah.
He
was a nice
Barrett?
guy.
No.
Well, yeah, Wade Barrett. How could I forget?
Was it Wade Barrett?
Yeah. He got bad news.
Bad news,
Yeah,
Barrett.
he got bad news.
That's why you liked it.
Yeah, he got let go. But he was a nice guy. Obviously, you kind of need to have a little bit of better managerial thing than just being a nice guy. But he got sacked. They brought someone else in. The players wanted Barrett to get the job, but he was sacked. The new guy has been fantastic at coming in, motivating the team, made some fantastic additions, and Houston's just gone from strength to strength.
No, 100%. And I think they really, I think what the difference was, especially this year, was Coyle didn't really like playing the South Americans too much, it seemed like. Because I think Torres even came last year, played a few games and got loaned out to Mexico or something like that. And I think this year they've really gone back to that, especially in that attacking 4. They play 3 of them, but they're 4 of them that attack, and they're really dead at home.
Saying that he didn't play the South Americans, I think, is a little too simplistic.
I'm not saying they. I'm saying maybe he didn't. It's not that he didn't play the South Americans. He didn't play the South Americans in the style that they should be playing. He was playing like an old
but
English.
they just weren't playing good football. And under Barrett as well, he tried to get them to play good football, but they just weren't getting the results. And
You mentioned one of the key things, though, Steve, was that he could not get the best out of El Cubo, which their current coach is known for. And so they've reignited that flame, right? Which the Houston owners are probably, Matt Jordan in Houston and the Houston ownership are probably very, very happy about, because they paid a lot of money for him.
I'm sure Laurie's really happy as well. That's a callback to Swangard days and previous episodes, so if you don't know what we're talking about, listen to those.
Dutch.
Tough task ahead. Lineup-wise, is Robo going to go for 4 in a row, or is that just going to be too much? After coming off the altitude, I mean, they've got a whole week to recover, and the weather's going to be quite nice here. Obviously, it's not like toasty Texas weather, but will he risk running those guys in the ground, or do you think this is a game that he's going to think, I don't think we're going to get anything from this. This is a guy to rotate. This is a chance to rotate some of these guys.
Well, I think a couple of things. One, I think playing Houston is probably similar to what it is temperature-wise and feel-wise to like being in this room, while we record because
It is very hot.
it's
in
like
this
a sauna.
studio.
It's like a sauna up in
It's
here.
hot and dry, which is why there's a lot of coughing.
Also, why Steve's wearing his Speedos.
Yes.
With a nice Star Wars T-shirt.
Yeah, bizarre look. I noticed Zach didn't take a photo of him.
No, I think the conditions in Houston. Yeah, again, we can talk about it's the same way. I think I said last week about Colorado. You can talk about it till you're blue in the face. You have to get past that. You can't focus on that. The coaches, I don't think that will be a huge part of their preparation for the week is reminding the players how exhausting it can be to play in Houston. It's Friday Night Lights. It's an evening game. Hopefully that'll help a little bit.
8 o'clock kickoff local
time. Yeah, so hopefully that helps a little bit. I mean, it's not quite like a Mexican or sometimes a Spanish game where you're kicking off at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But hopefully that'll help. But that's not going to be a focus for the players. So I don't think we should focus on it too much. I think the bigger question is what you just said, Michael, is are they going to keep the same formation? And there's no midweek matches either side of this game. And to be honest, I hope they do keep the same formation with the same starting 11. I think it's almost like it would be like thinking about it too much to switch that out, to change that out, right? I think it's been working very well. There's been some consistency there. We have some form. The substitutes are performing well enough in those roles. We have we lost some options off the bench. We have some new options off the bench now. I think sticking with this, with 4-3-3, 4-1-1, however you want to paint that picture, whatever you want to call it, but approaching the game in the same way they have these last 3 games on the road, I think makes the most sense.
No, for sure. And I think I kind of feel like they're going to. I feel like they're going to make a few minor changes. I think they're going to bring in guys that have a little bit more endurance and not worry too much about the physicality. Like, for example, I'm not substituting him off because of his play, but I think Tony Chani is a guy who might not be able to handle the heat and everything. So you bring in a guy like I know you're not going to like it.
Where's Tony Chani from?
Cameroon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I'm
he's
just saying.
going to be a real problem.
Okay, maybe not, but
he is
but I don't
totally
think
up to match fitness.
I don't think you need his physicality. I think that's the biggest point. I think you need somebody that can run with the guys.
I don't think
someone who can run with Alex.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't Maddie going to do that? Isn't that going to
No, I think Maddie has to be protecting in front, and I think the guy that maybe needs to run with Alex is
Rusty.
Who maybe?
Yeah, I actually agree with that.
I think the way he matched up with Robbie Keane in the past, that's one example.
And he's done well against Dempsey.
Yeah,
he seems to really do well against.
When it's a one-on-one thing, I think he really, because he's focused on that one guy, I think he's not worried about anything else. I think that maybe what they need to do at the beginning, shut them down in the first half like they shut down Colorado, and then frustrate them, and then make them change their plans.
I agree with you that has been really good in the past. I think people need to take note also that Michael is calling for Rusty to start. But 3, when you do that, when you take that approach, for my third thing.
Oh, third thing. Okay.
I think when you take that approach, that tactical approach to a game, where you're trying to have one player man mark a player, especially someone in the middle of the field like that, it hurts your shape a lot.
Yeah, I'm not saying man mark. I'm saying be aware. And when he gets into the danger area, then just attach your hip
when you have a player who's designated to be super or hyper aware of another player in another team, I think that can really mess with your shape.
Okay, keep an eye on.
When you have someone who's focuses to keep an eye on. No, seriously. I
understand what you're saying. I'm just.
I know.
Yeah.
I think this has been working, and I think they should stick with it.
What about the defence? Would you keep the same back 4, or would you kind of freshen up, give Williams a kind of break?
No.
No.
Why?
I'm
back 4.
Asking you a question.
Yeah, but why? Why would you do that?
Just so you're not running these games into the ground.
I
just feel this is a game that we're not going to get anything from. So this is a chance to rest some of these guys for an important home game that's coming up the next week.
No, I disagree.
So
you got a week off.
We
You'll
have
be fine.
in what is it, 2 weeks or a week and a half or whatever it is. We have the Voyageurs Cup coming up, where that's probably gonna happen. You're probably gonna have. I don't want this. But you're probably gonna have.
There'll be some changes, but I don't know that he's going to go wholesale. He's kind of hinted that He's done that in the past, and it might not be what he does this year.
No, I wouldn't go wholesale even then. I would make changes here and there, see who needs a rest, and give him a rest.
Okay, let me put it this way. Specifically to your point, should we maybe rest Williams? I think for sure in the Voyageurs Cup, you're going to see Jake Nowitzki.
Yes. What about then Harvey? We don't really have too many left backs. Marcel de Jong was back at training this week. Will he be the guy that starts?
He was in the 18 this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Will he be the guy that starts in the Voyageurs Cup? Or if he is, do you want to give him a little bit of a run out this weekend in Houston?
I see what you're saying. I guess my approach is different than yours, and you're looking at this from the perspective of we're not going to get anything anyways, so let's do something different.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely be trying to get something from this match.
The team will try and get something anyway. It's just not going to work.
No, but are you really trying to get something if you're not putting what is...
No, but why do you have a squad then if you're not going to use it?
Oh, they're going to use it. I just don't think this is the game for that.
No, you got to keep it going. You can't show the you can't give the idea that you're like taking the foot off the gas.
Yeah.
You have to keep it on, even if you think you're not going to get anything out of it. I personally think you can get something. If Minnesota can get a point out of Houston, I think they can get a point out of Houston.
So apart from possibly Tybert in for Chani from Steve, no other changes from either of you?
No, I would also consider Davies in for either Chichera or Bolaños.
I would possibly
just because I was really impressed with his defensive play in this game.
I would rest Bola.
Yeah, I would too.
But I don't know whether I would put Davies in. And I keep going on that Mosqueda's not good as a starter, but that is an option to kind of stick Mosqueda in there. Zach's not happy.
No, I think you need to. We just talked about how we lack consistency. We lack the ability to get consistent results.
Making two changes is not going to rattle the team at all.
All for consistency in the games that we can win.
If these players get rattled over two changes, then there's bigger problems.
No, I'm not saying you're rattling them. I'm just saying you're taking away from some. There's a good sense of form. I think the one tactical or one approach to the game I would make known to the side, I would start the same 11. The one thing I would say is we're probably going to sub earlier. So you 7 guys who are in the 18, be ready to play longer. You who are on the field, whoever's not looking like they're a little bit off, or the matchup, wherever they're on the field is not looking great. Just know it might come earlier. It might come at half.
30th minute.
No, it might come at half. It might come before the hour mark.
Yeah, I mean by that time we'll be 3 goals down, so we'll be fine. I know, I'm kidding. Or am I?
You're not.
If we get a win in Houston, I will eat my hat. Thankfully, it's a delicious chocolate hat that I got at Easter, but still, I will eat that.
Okay.
I've been looking for an excuse to do it, so
and then
this is a perfect
someone will
excuse.
teach you how to make that like a story on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I can maybe storify it as well. Is that not what the young kids use?
That's something else.
Oh, or WhatsApp it.
I think you're.
I'll speak to Anna.
WhatsApp.
I'll speak to Anna.
WhatsApp
She's the one that's kind of like teaching me all these newfangled things.
I think he's got Spotify mixed with store.
No, there's a thing you can store a file.
Oh, really?
It's different.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Just old as well.
Just to I'm on all of it, all this stuff. Just to let you guys know, though, we had a poll on Twitter beforehand saying which of the hosts represent your feelings about the Caps. Zach, yes, we can, and Michael, time will tell. It was actually going back and forth, and it is really close. Winner is Michael with 51%. 49% was Zach.
Yeah.
In your face,
And it
optimist.
started off with Michael a lot, then you turned around, and then it went back to Michael. So
You know why you won?
Because I'm correct.
No, you know why you won? Because I voted for you.
I voted for me as well, so there we go. Was it that one vote that was the difference?
Yes.
I don't calculate. I'm assuming it's probably 1 or 2 votes that made a difference.
Well,
I'm no mathematician.
I'm happy with that. Forget all this optimist union crap.
If we get 49% possession in Houston, I'll be happy as well.
Well, I never actually looked at what the position was in Colorado.
The possession was 1 goal to 0 goal.
Okay. Anyway, let's just get some quick predictions before we wrap this a little bit up. Let's go with Zach. He's obviously going to go for the win.
Why don't we let him think about it and then we'll do it?
I know, because
he seems to think it's time.
It's like a surprise. Like he wasn't going to expect us to ask him for his weekly prediction. Okay, Steve.
1-0 loss, and I think it's going to be Ellis that scores.
I was wondering which player's name you were going to mispronounce.
I'm going to go for 3-0 to Houston.
It looks like Ellis to me. I'm going to say Ellis.
Yeah, I think Ellis will get a couple. Torres will be back. He'll get one. Alex will probably get a couple of assists. But 3-0 Houston.
Okay, I am going to say, and this is obviously more heart than head. I'm going to say 2-1 to the Caps. And if we're going with goals, I hope Kyoto scores for Houston.
Quinto.
And
I think Quinto was from Total Recall.
There's no N in his name.
I think there's Quinto from Total Recall, the one that was in the that body. That weird thing that was growing out of the guy's body. You
I've
remember
never
that
seen
one?
the film. I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Oh man!
Somebody tweet at us and let us know.
And for us, I'm going to say Alfonso, and who else should we say? Oh, and I'm going to say either Kendall or Timmy, one of those two.
Wow, great drugs Zach's been on this weekend anyway. So there's a mixture. I think the pessimists are in the 4 tonight. So we'll see if we're right. We'll be back next Sunday to discuss that, or hopefully we'll be back next Sunday to discuss that. For now, though, I'm going to bring you our Wavelength section of the show just a little bit earlier than usual because we've got a lot more chat to cover.
Bartman.
Just to kind of to break up the monotony of us talking non-stop, we're going to have a little bit of music. And it's an old favourite of the show that we're going with for our Wavelength section tonight, Frank Sidebottom. Now, for those of you that may not know who Frank Sidebottom is, UK entertainer from the late 70s, sadly died in 2010. Real name was Chris Seavey. There was also a film loosely based on his life called Frank that kind of came out. He was known for wearing a papier-mâché head, and he also did a little bit of ventriloquism with a little papier-mâché dummy called Little Frank.
And I think nobody ever saw his face, right?
I don't know. Some folk may have over the years.
I'm sure it's friends and family, but like I'm talking about like
there's folk that was on tour with him, and he never took his head off when he was on tour or anything like that.
That's like Daft Punk, right? Isn't they like doing
Deadmau5? Or
no, Daft Punk. Daft Punk always has to.
No one's ever.
So Frank did a lot of football songs. He was a massive football fan. He also started his own football team called Timperley Big Shorts. And I'm repping them tonight by wearing an official tracksuit that I bought after the team went defunct, sadly, when he died. So we're going to play you one of his football songs tonight. It's from his 2010 Fantastic Showbiz box set. It was a 4 CD and 1 DVD box set. And Frank was a supporter of Altrincham. And they did play in the National North League, but they just finished bottom this season and they've been relegated to the Northern Premier League. So we're going to play a song dedicated to his love of Altrincham. This is The Robins Aren't Bobbins.
This is the BBC in London calling Frank Sidebottom.
Oh, no!
On Saturdays at 5 to 3, there is only one place to be, down at the Moss Lane football ground. The team comes out, the crowd all roar. We kick off, win, lose or draw. The only team for me is Altrincham FC. All the Robins aren't Bobbins, says me. I always wear me great big hat in the colours of red and black, which incidentally is the colour of the football shirts. The shorts are black and the socks are red, an ace combination, and as I said, the only team for me is Altrincham FC. All the Robins aren't Bobbins, says me. Oh, we have been to Wembley and we do well in the FA Cup, and now the time in for fabulous game. So Division 1, here we come after 2, 3 and 4. 2, 4, 6, 7 and 8. Who do we appreciate? The only team for me is Old Chingham FC. All the Robins aren't Bobbins, says me and all the supporters. All the Robins aren't Bobbins, says me and little Frank. All the red Robins aren't Bobbins, says me. You know they're not, they're really not. The OT, the OT, the OT, the OT,
The OT. That was Frank Sidebottom there with his tribute to Altrincham FC. The Robins aren't bobbin'. Love Frank Sidebottom. Really sad when he passed away. He was a really cult comedic figure back in the UK. If you don't know anything about him, check him out on YouTube. We've played a lot of his songs as kind of introductions and little snippets in the podcast before. And yeah, check him out. He's a fantastic entertainer. His voice grates on my wife, though. It's like whenever I play it, she has to leave the room.
No, I can understand that.
And obviously, he was a big supporter of non-league football, smaller football clubs. He shunned the big lights of England, all the big teams there. And that brings us nicely to some big news that came out this week on the Canadian Premier League. Now, some people are going to think, well, surely the Canadian Premier League is going to be a big league as well, and they're going to be rivaling MLS. Realistically, we don't think that at all, or at least I don't. But it was official. Canadian Premier League is starting. Still very little information really coming out about it. But you've been looking into it, Steve.
Very, just on the surface and everything like that. Obviously, they also, another news, they voted a new head of CSA to take over for Victor.
It wasn't the guy that everyone thought it was initially going to be either.
No, it's a guy named Steve Reed. He is BC, North Vancouver. I've seen mention of Surrey.
Was that his slogan? He is BC.
I don't remember that. I'm not sure. But he's an accountant. He's been with the CSA for, I think, 8 years. Rose from treasury to vice president. He's been auditing as well, so I guess that's what accountants do.
Fiscally responsible.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good thing. And then, obviously, they did vote in the CPL. I think that's what they're calling it now. They've mentioned that they have about 10 cities that have, put interest in it. 2 of them have already been announced as, founding members or founding teams or whatever of the league. Winnipeg and Hamilton. And even
you got that backwards. It's Hamilton and Winnipeg.
Winnipeg was first, and then Hamilton. Hamilton came out today announcing that they were proud. So Winnipeg and Hamilton, and then
and they've already made a Broadway musical about them setting up the team, I believe.
Yeah,
smash
hit. And so those are the 2 teams for sure. What do you guys think? Who do you think the other 8 teams are going to be? Any ideas, or you think Edmonton and Calgary would be interested? They already have teams. Would they bring a team from NASL, convince them to come into the Premier League, or do you think they'd stay in the Edmonton? The NASL.
Could be the Yellow Knife Men, or the Surrey Knife Men if you want to have.
I don't think they're going to go that far. I think traveling will be an issue then. Getting out there, they have to go through ice roads or something like that in order to get out there.
You want it, though, to cover all of Canada, surely. So every province should have a team.
I think you're referring to a territory there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Obviously,
I haven't done my citizenship test
yet.
Yeah,
that's right. Clearly.
All the same.
No,
They're all states.
Oh, man. The other 8 cities, there's lots to talk about with this, but the other 8 cities, I think, would be Halifax, possibly Moncton.
Oh, you think of 2 teams in the Maritimes?
I'm just saying. I think Halifax is more likely.
Okay.
But there's talk in Moncton. There's some stuff potentially.
Ottawa would be an option if they do.
Ottawa definitely. Then you have Regina or somewhere. Regina or Saskatoon. Probably Regina because of the stadium.
Yeah.
And then Calgary.
Now the
Calgary for sure.
Edmonton, you think.
And then Edmonton.
Now, the three provinces that, or three cities that would be in question marks, and I have it down as question marks. One is obviously where there would be a team in Quebec, but where in Quebec would that team play? You think there would be a team in BC somewhere, where in BC, and then obviously the GTA, Greater Toronto area, where would that team play? If they were, because I remember somebody was mentioning that would they really want? I think it was somebody from TFC a month or so ago saying that why would we want a team in? Why would they want to play in Toronto going up against TFC?
Well, you need to be in those three. You need to be in those communities, in one way, shape, or form, because you need. Those are major communities with lots of people.
Yeah.
And so that helps with advertising, helps with TV deals, all that side of the game, which is obviously not my favorite part of the game, but it is important. So I think those will be involved. The big question is, or some of the big discussion, both speculation and maybe with a little bit of truth as well, or a little bit of fact or on the record stuff as well, has been that they do not want, they've said they won't, or it's been assumed that they will not allow the MLS teams to have second, third, whatever teams in this league, which I think is very important. I think that should happen. So I think there's been speculation around how do you make that work. So would TFC put a team somewhere else in the GTA and not call it TFC 3 like they're like Bill Manning kind of said in that interview?
Yeah,
which was a bit of trying to show force, a bit of either arrogance or ignorance or both.
Call them the Blizzard. Get some of the old fans back.
Right. So
they could play in Yellowknife.
So there is.
I think it cut off his mic.
There is. There has been talk about what does that look like and how close and all those different things. I mean, even today on Twitter, there was a discussion over using Lamport Stadium, which is literally like you could kick a football from BMO Field to Lamport.
Yeah.
Right? If you've ever done the march in Toronto for a Canada game, you're like right there. Like you go by it. So
what about Thunder Bay?
Well, the Chill have been a great. I mean, too bad
And
Slamo's not here, but
they'd be right next to Winnipeg, kind of too. So you have two teams right.
They've been a great PDL team. Victoria is another discussion point. Here's the thing: when you stop and look at this, I think it's very easy to be on either ends of the spectrum. This is either way you look at it is a massive thing for football in Canada, right? And so either end of the spectrum, you have some people who are like, "This is going to be the greatest thing for Canadian football. This in the next 5 years or less is going to propel things forward in a massive way." And then you have people on the other end of the spectrum who are like saying, "Yeah, this is significant, but it might be a significant failure, or it's not." There's things about it that they don't like. Like even reading stuff about people being critical about even what's happened, right? Because they're like, this is not a real launch. They don't have enough teams, whatever. Like it's just everyone needs to be relaxed a little bit and recognize that. Is this the big unveiling? Is this the big media glitzy? No, this is not that. Is it? Is it ideal?
Some folk thought there was maybe even going to be a press conference in Vancouver tomorrow, and I'd asked about that, and there was never any plans for that
because they're not ready.
Yeah,
and there's
nothing to announce.
Well,
and
they've said that fall of 2018 is when they want to start.
Right, and I mean. We'll come to that in a minute.
We talked in a previous show, like some of the leaked Halifax documents that kind of explained that.
So, some people have been critical of the fact that this was 2 teams were announced, and they're still.
Well, they didn't announce officially the teams. They've said they're interested, and
they've announced those 2 teams. Those 2 teams have been accepted
founding.
Yes.
Okay,
so there's been some people share perspective how this is a negative way to start this. The positive way to look at this is they're not overcommitting to something that's not in place. So yes, I would agree it's not a good thing that they don't have 10 cities in place with ownership groups ready to go for 2018, let's say. But it's also not the worst thing in the world that they're saying, "Hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna present this as kind of things develop or whatever." So I think that at one point there will be a launch. Or there will be like a big launch. Like these are the teams who are all going to be involved, and this is when it's going to start, and all that kind of stuff. I'm a little hesitant. This whole kind of clausura 2018. Let's start with the 2018 Color, a soft start, kind of like almost like it'd almost be like the league in the Indian League. We'll have 6 teams, and they'll go and they'll play a little tournament, and we'll give a champion, and then things will get a little bit bigger. I'd be surprised if that happens personally.
Well, there has apparently been a growing groundswell of opinion that they shouldn't do that.
Yes,
because they're wanting to do it. They're saying to cash in on the post-World Cup buzz,
which is.
This doesn't get a post-World Cup buzz.
No.
And if you don't launch the league properly...
Yeah, you could hurt it.
You could really damage it. Now, to put my serious hat on, no jokes about it or anything like that, I do disagree with a couple of things you said there. I don't think that they need to be in the big markets where the MLS teams are. The big cities, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, have never really shown a great love of lower league soccer in getting the fans out there. I feel you need to go into communities, big cities still, but communities where there isn't a lot of other things that people will go to. And you want to have clubs like they have in the lower leagues in England, where the local community feel part of the club, where they want to, like they just feel a sense of belonging to it. And if you go to somewhere like Thunder Bay, KW United's another one in Kitchener and Waterloo. They've got a great setup already. You want to kind of go to those places.
Like a Windsor or something, like where you can, you have people living in Detroit. If they're soccer fans, you can bring them over and support that team.
But you also want to have local rivalries as well. There's no point having a team in Halifax and then their closest teams, say, Hamilton. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
You want to have...
That's why Moncton would be good.
Yeah. So you want to have like 2 there. You want to have maybe Hamilton and Thunder Bay. That would be fantastic.
They're not close.
Far.
That's not close.
Thunder Bay and Winnipeg would be...
We'll show you. We'll show the map of Ontario later.
Okay. It's in Ontario. I don't know.
No, yeah. It's not. That's not drivable, Mike.
During the Bartman interview, we'll show them the map.
Yeah. I mean, it is drivable, but it's not really...
But Calgary and Edmonton, I mean, get that rivalry going.
Right. But okay, I would disagree with you in terms of you just said the 3 MLS communities have not shown that they will support lower level football
in recent years.
Right. So before MLS, they absolutely did. Not as much in Toronto, but definitely in Montreal and Vancouver. The other thing, and this is an unknown, and we're going to get a glimpse this week of what this looks like. But I think having a new football club in the Lower Mainland that has a different approach than what's already here, I think has the potential to do something significant, to make a significant contribution to the larger football community in Canada.
For sure, but a lot depends on 2 things. Are the owners happy to lose money in the early years? And you're going to have to think they're going to have to be, because these clubs are not going to turn a big profit. And how important to them is bums on seats.
Right.
Now, I was at a Provincial Cup game Saturday night in Aldergrove United against Westside. I would think there's maybe 500 to 600 people there in Aldergrove. So that's more than WFC2's drawn for their last 2 home games. But like in local communities, people go out and support a local team.
But if you're comparing this to WFC2...
No, I wasn't. I was just kind of meaning that... Like, if you look at attendance-wise, Calgary Foothills, I don't know what they drew in their game today against TSS Rovers, but in Friday's game, 805. Edmonton struggle to get a lot of bums in seats for their NASL team. If the league is dependent on filling stadiums and they've got this thing that, you have to have a certain number of seats and all this kind of stuff, that could kill the league.
Well, going from the Hamilton documents, that stadium is only, like 4,000 to 8,000 or something. So,
but I mean, that's part of the problem with the BC Soccer Tier 3 League, which they launched in January. They asked for teams to submit, and I think it was mid-March was the cut-off date. They announced last week that the people that got in touch with them, there was hardly any. So it's currently been shelved. So it's not going to start in 2019 like they hoped. They're hoping that maybe people will revisit it or relook at it. The only team that I know that that had put in for it, there's probably some others, but I know that there was a team, an all-star team, out in Fraser Valley.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So that's the kind of things that they were attracting. But they had ridiculous. If you look at the document they brought out, like what they thought revenue would be created, they're looking for certain seating things in stadiums, and these stadiums don't exist in a lot of places.
Right. Then that's a problem for that level.
And if Canadian Premier League decide to go down a road where they have to have a minimum number of seats or a stand or whatever, that's a slippery slope.
I think they need to go to like 1 to 5,000. They need to shoot for around that. They can't go any more higher than that.
And that's part of the approach from when you look at WFC 2, you look at Montreal 2. You're right.
Yeah, fine.
You look at Montreal 2, like that was part of the Montreal 2, whatever they were called, or FC Montreal they were called, sorry. FC Montreal, I don't know if this changed, but I know in their first year, they didn't charge anything. It was just whoever wanted to come. So they, right at the beginning, they were saying, we're not expecting to make anyone money off of this. This is all about development, right? Toronto, I don't know. I can't even remember. I think there was a charge. They did some double headers with the first team. Those were obviously attended by some people who cared, but not a lot of people were going up to Vaughan or wherever they were playing the games. I don't think. I think maybe they played at
we are seeing it across North America because Sounders announced this week that they're moving Seattle Sounders 2 from Starfire to Tacoma.
To a stadium that's going to be 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Right.
So set realistically low expectations to start with is what I think they should do. But a lot is going to depend on the ownership and what they're expecting from it.
And my understanding is that their approach to this is that they are only going to do this with people who have a significant amount of money to invest in a football club, recognizing that the likelihood in the first X number of years is that you're going to take a loss on it.
Yeah,
I think that's a given. However, I think those same people are also looking at what is happening with football. Like one of the things about Canada, the paradox of Canada is we consume so much football, right? You look at from usually from other parts of the world, but we consume so much football that's what these. That's what a lot of these owners are looking at and saying, how can we turn that into
financial
like
during the last
viable
World
option?
Cup, Canada, from all the countries around the world, had watched they were like third or something in the most amount of folk that had been watching the games, and they need to tap into that market.
The problem is the people that that do watch those, like you're saying, other places around the world.
Yeah,
they turn a nose to even MLS.
There is
they do
a
turn
lot of snobbery out there.
Yeah,
there's no getting away from that.
You can see it on Twitter all the time. What do you think? You call this football? This is not football. Yeah. So you're not tapping into that. You're trying to. You have to grow a new audience and get them interested. You can't rely on the people that have been watching forever.
But you even see that in Toronto a little bit, right? They expanded their stadium because they brought in some players that could for lack of a better term, attract that crowd.
They're not doing that for the CPL. They're not bringing in those players, so that's not going to work.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, we could talk for hours on this, and we're going to talk about it in future podcasts. We're going to chat with some people that's involved, some people that's got a big love of really Canadian soccer and wanting to see it grow. Just very quickly, before we go to our next set of ads, what would you class as being a successful first season? But that's maybe putting you in the spot because we could talk about that for 20 odd minutes. What do you think would be a success in terms of not necessarily how many people we attract, but just how many clubs would you like to see?
Personally, first off, I do not think it will start before 2019.
I don't either.
I hope it starts before 2020, but I don't think it'll start before 2019.
I don't think there needs to be a rush either because we've waited this long for
That's the other thing is you got to get it right, and
you've only got one chance to make a first impression.
Totally, exactly. So I think that you're right. That is huge, and I think they're aware of that. I think they're cognizant, which is why this is the slow rollout, if you will.
And they have got some really good people behind, like Paul Bierny.
Sure,
probably murdered his name as well.
Yes, I think so. It's okay.
Paul B.
Paul B. Yeah. Paulie B.
Paulie B. We'll get Paulie B on the show. We'll talk to him. Ask him first question. How do you pronounce your name?
I think it's Paul Byrne is how you pronounce it. But no, what would be successful? I mean, I would probably like to see no less than 10. I know they're probably willing to start with 6 or 8. I would like to see no less than 10. And I think attendance-wise, I think if you're in that 4,000 to 6,000 range, I think that would be like huge.
To me, every team drawing a 4-figure crowd would be huge.
Okay, but I think and this is where whether it's them or just the supporter culture in Canada, unlike MLS, this needs to be a football club. This can't just be some franchise you're buying in a league, right? You have to make this a club. You have to work with local people who are passionate about supporting a local club, and we've seen that. Go search Twitter, and there's like how many new supporter groups across Canada for teams that don't exist.
Yeah, but it's just great. The passion's there.
Yeah, some in communities that might never even get a team, which is so it's encouraging. But you need to work with those people. Now, not all of those people. You need to work with those people, and you need to focus on that as opposed to focusing on bringing in small children and whatever. You need to focus on a football culture, because I think that early TFC, that's what they did. They didn't focus on families; they focused on football culture.
Winning on the pitch either.
There you go.
But we all want it to be a success. There's a lot more chat to be had over the next couple of years before it launches, so we'll bring you that in future episodes of this show. We're going to go to some messages now. I'm going to look at a map of Canada and see exactly how close Thunder Bay is to Hamilton. I'm sure it's pretty close. Maybe I was just looking at small maps. I don't know. Now, we've got one last segment to go, but before we get to that, I just want to read a couple of tweets that we've had. J_Duke on Twitter, says, "Why does every Wavelength song have a singer who sounds like he's a teenager holding his nose when he talks?" That's because they are. I'm guessing he wasn't a fan of that one. I don't actually think we've got any other tweets to read, so there we go. No one's listening to these live. They're just listening to the podcast. So for this final section of the show, we're going to bring you our player interview of the week. It's with WFC2's newest signing, Nazeem Bartman. And there'll be no do the Bartman joke sack. He was a 4th round pick in this year's MLS SuperDraft, 73rd overall, and he was expected to go in the first round, possibly even as high as 18 or 19, a lot of the mock drafts had, failing that to go really high in the second round. He is South African. That may have gone against him a little bit. I mean, we saw with Callum Irving in the year before, when you're an international, teams, if they don't think you're going to make a regular contribution right away, they're a little bit loath to use an international spot on you. He was dubbed by a lot of people as the next Dom Dwyer. I don't think it's because he was going to marry a scab that was playing for the American football team, but it was more the fact that his journey is a really fascinating one. He came from South Africa, came over to the States to college. Then he played a couple of years at Tyler, like Dom Dwyer did. Then he went to the University of South Florida, like Dom Dwyer did. He lit it up at Tyler College. 2 years there, 33 goals and 39 appearances and 17 assists. 2014 Player of the Year in the NJCAA, which is like junior college. And they also won the 2014 National Championship that year as well. After that, he went to play 2 years at the University of South Florida. 14 goals and 9 assists from 37 appearances. Really fascinating guy. Very exciting prospect. Whitecaps couldn't believe that he was still available when they drafted him in the 4th round. And he's still getting up to match fitness because he hasn't played a game for months. But I really do think that when he comes to the fore, he is going to be a key piece for WFC2 this season. And he really, really has a good chance of lighting it up in the league and maybe even getting an MLS deal as well. So here's my chat. It's quite a long one. It's quite an interesting one. At least I hope so. It's actually one of the favourite chats I've done this year. So let's hear now from WFC2's new striker, Nazeem Bartman. So, first thing to ask you, Nazeem, it's been a while since the SuperDraft. What's been the delay in coming here? Was it just getting all the paperwork sorted out?
After the SuperDraft, I went to practice with the first team in Portland, because they went to Wales for preseason, and I couldn't join them because of visa status. So my student visa had expired when I graduated in December of 2016. So if I had to leave the country, I wouldn't be able to get back into the US.
Oh, right.
So that's why I couldn't join the first team over there. And while they were in Wales, I was working. Dave was working on my like a tourist visa, just so I can like extend my time in the US. So when they came back, I got the extended visa, and I joined the team in Portland for the 10 days they were there. And after that, they went to Canada, and then I couldn't go back with them either because I didn't have a Canadian visa, and I wasn't going to leave the US if I wasn't sure that I was going to sign at the Whitecaps.
Yeah, no,
so
that makes total sense. Yeah.
And plus, like, my wife is in America too, so
she's Canadian.
She's Canadian,
out,
yeah. So while they were actually in Wales, I got married that week while they were in Wales. Thank you. I got married, and she's Canadian, yes. And then, so I was just waiting for them after the Portland camp. I was just waiting to hear what the Whitecaps were saying and like what they were thinking. And it took them a while to decide as to like what they were gonna do. And I was just waiting in Dallas. Like, I just trained on my own, couldn't train with any other team. Teams wouldn't allow me to train with them. So I was just waiting there from like March until the end of like April. Just waiting, yeah.
So you're here now. You made your debut on Saturday, just a few minutes obviously, but you're getting used to the team. How have you found everything since you've come here so far?
I mean, the tempo is, like, during training, the tempo is a lot faster than what it was in college. And for me, I'm way behind a lot of the guys when it comes to fitness-wise.
Right.
Because I've missed, like, 5 games already. And I haven't been training with the team. Training on my own and training with the team is 2 different things. So I found that the tempo is faster. That's something I need to get used to. And I need to get more comfortable with the players, with myself also playing, just to get that momentum going for me. So that's the only thing that I found different. And I think the guys are good. They're pretty good group of guys, and we are all similar ages. So you don't feel out at some point as like someone is older than you or anything like that. So that makes it a lot easier.
It is a really good group, and I mean, you saw it today. It's really good chemistry with the guys, and so many of them have known each other for years.
Yeah.
When the Whitecaps drafted you, now before the draft, lots of people had you going really high, possibly even a first rounder.
Yeah.
When that didn't happen, did you start to worry that because you weren't American, because you were South African, that would maybe affect any team selecting you?
That definitely had a big role in how I got drafted. But I also think during the combine, it was, the combine, I was predicted to go high in the first, like late in the first round or high in the second round. But I feel like I wasn't given the proper chance to show my abilities, because I'm a forward, I'm a striker.
Yeah.
And during the combine, I didn't play once in the 3 games in my strongest position.
All right.
So I played more of an 8 in the first game, which is, I'm not the box-to-box type of player for no matter how fit I am. That's just how I am. And in the second game, I played left wing. And the third game, they tried to play me in the middle again, but I tried to be more up front, because that's where I'm more dangerous at. So I feel like I wasn't given the proper chance to show what I could do, and that's what also basically killed me for the draft. And then again, the visa situation with me being South African and the international spots that teams have and stuff like that. But I mean, I was happy that the Whitecaps chose me, because to be honest, in my 4 years in college, I haven't heard like they were interested in me or anything like that.
I was going to ask, it's like, did you have any indication that they might take you?
I had no idea the Whitecaps was actually looking at me. Because, during the combine, a lot of teams approach players during like that week, and certain players get like the feel of as to like which teams are interested in them. before the combine, I had a bunch of teams that was interested in me. Even Toronto also liked me. And during the combine, like nothing, like no team came to me, spoke to me, anything like that. And that's where I started feeling worried, like I thought, okay, what's going on? Because I had like friends that was over at the combine, and all of them had like teams after them and talking to them and having interviews. So I was surprised when the Whitecaps drafted me, because they didn't talk to me during that time I was there. So it was a surprise for me.
The combines, it's kind of ridiculous anyway, because so many people put stock in what you do those couple of days, whereas you've got a whole college career that they can look at. I never really understand why they put so much stock in that. Your journey to the States, it's a really interesting one. And a lot of folk have compared you obviously to Dom Dwyer, because you went to Tyler, you've gone to South Florida.
Yeah.
What brought you over to the States in the first place? Was it just the opportunity? You'd been through a lot of clubs in South Africa. What made you want to come over here?
When I was about 2011, right, when there's this big under-19 tournament that is played every year during the Easter time in April. It's called the Metropolitan Bale under-19 tournament. And I was playing for Supersport United. And then one of the scouts from Lindsay Wilson College was there. And he saw me in 2011 and approached my coaches, but they told him that I was going to sign with the first team in South Africa. So I had no idea. Like American coach like asked about me, and then the following year he came back, and it's actually a funny story though. Like he didn't approach me; he was talking to someone else about the number 9 of Supersport, which was me, and my dad happened to stand right next to him when he was talking to this guy, and my dad approached him, and my dad asked him like the number 9 from Supersport. He said, yeah. My dad told him, well, that's my son. And he came and introduced himself and told me about bringing me over to the US on a full scholarship and everything. And at the moment I declined it. I said no, because my chances of going to the first team was good at Supersport. So I declined it at first, and I told him that I want to sign professional in South Africa. And time went on, and the team that I was playing for, they just took long. Like they didn't say anything as to when they were going to sign me. And then when I called Lee Chalmers, that's the guy's name that recruited me. When I called Lee Chalmers, and he told me the offer still stands, and I decided, okay, I'm going to America. I didn't even tell my parents.
Oh wow!
After I committed, I told my dad afterwards, like, hey, like I decided I'm going to America. So they sent like all the paperwork and stuff, and it was hard getting to America. That was one of the hardest challenges.
Yeah.
First of all, both my parents don't work, so getting like a Sevis fee, like paying for the Sevis fees, paying for all these visa documents and all those type of things, it cost a lot of money. And my parents didn't have any, but somehow they made a way. Like, I had no idea how, but they made a way. They got to pay every single thing. And the hardest challenge was getting the plane ticket to come to America. There was a guy, almost like a family friend, and he promised my dad he was going to pay for the ticket to go to America. So that was a huge relief for my parents, that they didn't have to focus on that. And 4 days before I had to leave, so the plane left on a Sunday, and Thursday this guy called my dad and told him he couldn't pay for the ticket.
Oh jeez.
Yep. And well, then I started thinking, oh man, this is not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I left the academy to go to America, and now I can't get a ticket. And in 2 days my parents got 20,000 rand to buy a ticket. Like a lot of people back home contributed and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they contributed, but till this day I'm still paying those people back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want any type of debt on my parents' names. So yeah, we got the ticket right the day of the flight that I was leaving. I went to go buy the ticket.
That's tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's obviously worked well. You had a great time at Tyler. You won a national championship with them. then went to South Florida as well. Winning that national title, I mean, you scored so many goals that season as well.
Yeah.
What was that like?
My first year at Tyler, we lost in the national final at our home, and that was basically the one thing that drove the sophomore class to go out and win the next year. Because I didn't have to stay for the following season because I was already a sophomore in school. Because I went to Lindsay Wilson for 1 year, and then I transferred from Lindsay Wilson to Tyler. So I was already a sophomore in school, but a freshman in soccer. So I didn't have to stay that 1 year, but I wanted to win that ring so bad. It drove us to get that. But my 2014 season started off bad. I had a knee injury, and I was out for a month. So I missed about like 8 or 9 games or something like that. So when I had to come back, I had a lot of catching up to do and stuff. But I managed to score 16 in 16 games and still win the national championship. Yeah, that was an amazing feeling though.
Your journey, we talked, some people have said it's very similar to what Dom Dwyer did.
Yeah.
Did that put extra pressure on you? Because folk are like, oh, it's another Dom Dwyer.
Yeah. To be honest, it made me feel good at a point. Because to be compared to someone like Dom Dwyer is, it's crazy. It's an amazing feeling. But I think comparing us as to the journeys we took, that's on the spot. That's the right way. But comparing us as players, I didn't like that because both me and Dom Dwyer, we're different types of players. I like the ball at my feet and play with the team and stuff like that. Dom is more of a just direct forward, going straight to goal, So we have two different types of games, and that's the only thing that I didn't like. But being compared to him, it wasn't pressure on me. I feel like it was more scary for the opponents playing against me and knowing that, okay, this guy's being compared to Dom Dwyer. But being compared to him was an amazing thing throughout my college career.
So with Whitecaps 2 now, for people that haven't seen you play, which is probably going to be everyone up here, I'd imagine, what can you offer this team? What can fans expect to see from you this season?
Right now, I'm asking them to give me time to get fit. I haven't been with the team since they started, so I need time to get fit, get into like the game, match fit basically. But once that do happen, I can promise them that goals will be seen from me. I'll be scoring goals, and I'll be helping the team a lot when it comes to playing, building up plays, assisting my teammates. But scoring goals is one of the things that I do love to do, and I will do at the Whitecaps too.
Well, certainly look forward to seeing you do that. And just before I let you go, I want to ask you about the World Cup in South Africa, because I read an interview you did a couple of years back, and you were talking about you saw a couple of games there, and there's lots of Brazilian fans around about your family. Just tell us a little bit about that, because it sounds a fantastic experience.
The World Cup was an amazing experience. I don't think I've ever seen the atmosphere like that in South Africa for any soccer match, basically. I got the chance to go watch two of the World Cup games. It was France and Uruguay, and Portugal and Korea Republic or something like that. The game where they won like 7-1 or something. Yeah. So I actually got to watch 2 of those games. The tickets was for free. Yeah. Nice. the one I got with my school. So everyone from my high school got tickets. So we all went as a school. And then the second one, I was actually training that one morning, and I got a call from my aunt saying that she just got 2 World Cup tickets to the game, and I left training right away. I told my coach I have to go. My brother is alone at home. When I got home, I got changed, took my cousin, and the 2 of us went to go watch the game. It was crazy. And my mom was, at that time, she was working for this catering company, and they were catering for the Brazilian fans that came over to watch their games. And man, it was crazy. All the Brazilian fans were in one place eating my mom's food and watching Brazil games, and they had like these Brazilian dancers and all these things that were like giving us a show and stuff. It was an amazing feeling. It was great. Yeah.
Sounds like it. I mean, we're hoping that we're going to have the World Cup here in 2026, so
yeah,
hopefully you're still around for that. Anyway, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Good luck this season, and look forward to seeing you play.
Thank you, sir.
Nazeem Bartman there. I know that was quite a long interview, but it was a really good one. He's a very interesting guy. I've watched some of his highlights. He has the potential to really do well.
He's more talkative than Ethan Sampson was, a fellow South African.
Yeah,
as
I
well.
don't even know if I ever spoke to Ethan, but he's a very likeable guy. He has the skills to pay the bills, as they say, and it's whether he can now take that to the next level. Really good career, or youth career, over in South Africa. He had a chance, as he said there, to sign pro forms with a South African team. He's left home pretty much since he was 12 because his dream is to be a pro footballer. And he's going to have a great chance. The Whitecaps, they're struggling a little bit with their offence and getting goals just now. Gloria Amanda's a great prospect as well. Thomas Saner, he's a good player. I do feel he still lacks a little bit of the football IQ, and whether that's going to come at the age that he is now to take him to the next level, I don't know. Bartman seems to have both. He's confident, he's got a swagger, he can live up to that as well, and he's got an eye for goal. And if he can do well, then yeah, who knows? MLS could be in the offing for him.
Now, we obviously they've signed Bartman now, but there is another player that they drafted, Jorge Gomez Sanchez out of Temple. No word on whether they've signed him, but he might be still in school because school is still going on, obviously. Well, very close to ending, I think, in America.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll be signed like Thomas Saner was last year? Or do you think
never heard of him since the draft.
He might just be in Texas somewhere.
Yeah, it could be just waiting for a call.
Well, Temple is in Philadelphia, so I'm assuming probably.
I thought you meant from your Temple or something.
No.
But yeah, I've never heard of him since. And you said you checked his Twitter, and it doesn't look.
No,
like...
he just mentions a couple of teams in Spain. Retweets that. That's about it. I haven't seen anything.
I mean, a lot of the guys, when a Canadian team picks them, they don't want to come to Canada.
Yeah.
K Banjo.
Yeah, and yeah,
and his career has gone so well. Since
yeah,
then.
that was a bit of a wasted pick.
Even last year, the German kid.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember his
yes.
name.
Chris Hellman.
Yeah, I did an interview with him. He seemed really keen to come, and then he went and signed for another USL team instead.
Some questionable Twitter posts as well.
Yeah, and Instagrams, and
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
That maybe did not go in his favour.
No.
But Nazeem seems a great prospect. Really looking forward to seeing him play. We did that interview last week at training in the pouring rain. We sat in a dugout, but it was a nice ambient sound in the background. And he got a couple of minutes in the 0-0 draw at home to San Antonio or Sacramento, because I still can't remember which team we played last week.
It was Sacramento.
It was Sacramento. And then he got a couple of minutes as a sub as well in Friday night's loss to Swope Park Rangers. Not a good game for WFC2. 3-1 defeat. Never at the races. I only watched the first half. By the time it went to 3,
it's a tough place to play as well.
WFC2 are playing away in Tulsa on Thursday night. Then they're back home this Sunday, where they're playing Colorado Springbacks.
Which home is that?
Or Switchbacks.
It's Mother's Day. Is it Bark at the McLeod?
No, Mutt at the McLeod is the Sunday after that,
right.
or 2 Sundays after that. But it's Mother's Day. It clashes with the provincial finals, and the A-Cup final is on at the same time as that. So
where is the A-Cup final?
It's at Burnaby Lake.
I don't think it'll be that much conflict.
I was thinking about this the other day. It feels a little bit like. Do you ever see the movie Major League?
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I've got all 3 on DVD.
Okay, so Major League One, WFC2 feels a little bit like Major League One this year. It's like the owner wants the team to tank so that they can move it. I'm not saying there's any truth in this.
But it does feel like that, and a few other folk have made that comment.
When you look at the scheduling, when you look at the start times, when you look at a whole bunch of these different things, it feels like they want it to not do well.
Well, the games are also clashing with a number of youth games. A lot of folk have tweeted at me to say that under 8, under 9 leagues going on at this time, so they can't bring that family to it. I think we said last week, they're not doing anything at the games. There's no bubble football. There's no bands, which I know is not going to draw folk in necessarily, but it adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah, on the May the 4th, they did tweet that they're going to do a Star Wars Day again this year.
Yeah,
they have.
They mentioned that.
But in the summer.
They also have a game.
Well, maybe they know that people aren't coming out in the spring because of the spring soccer, like you said.
Yeah.
So maybe they know that they don't want to spend that much on it.
So to connect with families in the middle of July, they're having a midweek game at noon.
Yeah, they're having a nooner, not at the Nat, but at McLeod.
It might work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might.
Or it might not. But I mean, as folk keep saying to me, attendances don't matter. It's a development team. It's all about the players getting minutes. So as long as the club's fine with that, then I should stop going on about it.
Well, that's the thing. They're not.
No. But it's going to be interesting to see what TSS Rovers draw this year. They seem to have done everything right off the pitch, started by appointing AFTN as their official media partner, so that was always good. We're doing our colour commentary for the first game on Friday night. Gideon Hill's doing the play-by-play. It's going to be 3 cameras. It's going to be a really professional setup, and then me talking, so that will take it down a little peg or two.
So Gideon's from Surrey, so will you need someone to translate? Or
possibly.
Yeah.
I'm just worried he might pull a knife on me or something during the broadcast. But TSS Rovers have had their first 2 games.
They had a good start to the first game.
3 goals in the first half. They were 3-0 up. Came out all guns blazing. I expected them to kind of get hammered. And I'm pretty sure that the coaching staff did not think, I'll put it nicely, they didn't think it was going to be 3 goals up that they were going to be.
I think the excitement of the new team and everything playing the first game probably got them the 3 goals.
Yeah. Daniel Davidson, 72 seconds, opens TSS's account.
And then the lack of connectivity with them, their basic experience playing together, I think that caught up with them, and that's why they let it go. And then the second game was the similar.
Depleted squad as well.
Yeah.
They've got a number of guys injured. Matteo Polizzi played with Timbers under-18s last year, and they're struggling to get his international transfer certificate through.
Oh, wow.
So he can't play until that comes.
And there's other guys who aren't available yet, right?
Yeah, and Marcello Polizzi's injured. Chad Bush, the number 1 goalkeeper, is injured. PDL Goalkeeper of the Year in 2014. Aidan Bayers and Eric de Graaf haven't even joined the squad yet, 2 former Whitecaps residency guys. So they're looking forward to the home opener, 7 o'clock on Friday at Swan Guard. There's going to be a tailgate beforehand. Jay Demerit's going to be there.
With the speakers?
Yeah, might sell you a speaker or 2. And have a few beers flowing. Obviously not Jay, he'll be working. And it should be a great atmosphere. Tailgate
will there be
in Swan
smoke
Guard
as well?
again.
Not smoking, smoke in the stands and everything.
I've been told that there could
flares.
Be.
There might be some toking too.
I don't think there'll be flares, but there, yeah.
It's also then they've got
to be
it set
a foggy
up.
evening.
You can get down right on the pitch. They've got it right on the athletics track, so you can get right down at the pitch. Abuse these Lane United players. They apparently have a lot of players from Valencia, so they're at the moment. It's not 100% sure that they're even going to play because there's the crossing the border issue that they're trying to still sort out at the moment.
Just those players?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have some players.
Okay.
Or maybe even getting back.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, we could suddenly acquire some Valencia players.
Lane has some supporters, and they'll have some travelling supporters as well.
So it should be a fantastic evening out. If you're not going to U2, get along to that game.
If you're going to U2, come to the game, then go to U2 after.
Yeah. It does clash, unfortunately, with Whitecaps in Houston. It's a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock kickoff in Houston.
If it's 8 o'clock local, then 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's why there's PVRs, Michael.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I don't care about that 3-0 defeat that we're going to have in Houston. So get along if you can to Swan Guard. It's going to be a magical night. Football, under the lights at Swan Guard, tailgate in the park in the sun beforehand.
Beer, former MLS player, hawking his stereos equipment.
Yeah.
It's going to be fantastic.
What more could you want?
Why are you being so negative?
No, I'm not. I might just buy some off him. I like those speakers.
They're pretty awesome.
They're really expensive.
I might put a layaway on it.
I'm hoping he might give us a free one as the media partner. We'll see what happens. Just putting that out there for Jay if you're listening. But you can check out all our TSS coverage if you're into that. Some stuff, some folk aren't, on AFTN.ca. I guess we'll wrap up the show. Anything else you want to talk about, gents, or will we just say goodbye?
Go out and vote.
Oh yeah, definitely go out and vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Well, it kind of does.
Is the Rhino Party still out there?
Don't vote Conservative. vote for anyone else apart from Conservative.
They don't exist here, right? In the provincial.
Sadly, I wish they didn't exist in Scotland, but they seem to be making a comeback there. SNP aren't standing here. I'm always disappointed by that. I'm not voting for that reason. Anyway, thank you for listening to our nonsense again this week. We're going to have a short show. I've just seen that it's 10 to 1. Way! Steve's not working at least early tomorrow. I am, so that's not a fantastic thing. Just before we go, gents, let everyone know where they can find you online. First of all, Steve.
You can find me on Twitter at WhitecapsBeat.
On Twitter, it's at Zachary AM, and I'm part of the Movement Curva Collective.
I like the way you have to take a deep breath before you give that.
That's what movements do to you.
Yeah.
I'm Michael McCall. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Drop us an email with anything you want to chat about, aftncanada@hotmail.com. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLS Soccer.com and the West Indies conference reporter for USLsoccer.com. Read all our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. Going to have a lot of stuff coming up this week. There's an interview with Dominic Zater that we're going to bring you. And we'll have to bring you a few more Whitecaps pieces because over the last couple of weeks we've been very focused on VMSL, Provincial Cup and TSS Rovers. Time to get back talking about all good things Whitecaps. So anyway, as always, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.